Lisa, thanks for coming on.
Oh, I'm so tickled you have me. I was
So
excited
fun.
just to see you.
Oh, well, I know you like travel the world. You're like preaching the gospel, doing great things. But part of your story that I love is that you're an adopted mama.
Yeah.
And
Grace
so,
of God.
yes, so your story's incredible, and I'm familiar with it. But for those people that aren't, tell me a little bit just about the adoption, your adoption story.
Well, let me go back to because it's kind of tale of two cities, best of times and worst of times. Worst of times is I was hot mess on a stick when I was younger, kind of looking for love in all the wrong places. So didn't get married because I was attracted to yahoos. And so I didn't think I'd get to be a mom. And then I had several different people in my life who spoke in my life about adoption, not saying you should adopt. I just kept hearing that theme. And you know, when you feel like, okay, Lord, you've even put it on refrigerator magnets, like maybe this is something I should pray about.
It's constant. It's always
exactly.
Yeah.
So I prayed about it a lot, met with a ton of people about it. I'm job security for my counselor, talked to her about it. And then I thought, you know, there's 147 million-ish orphans in the world as we know it today. And yeah, best case scenario, in my opinion, a child gets a mom and a dad. But there are millions and millions and millions of kids who will die before infancy in third world countries, orphanages, age out in foster care in the States. And so I just began to kind of put out some feelers and say, if there's a child who doesn't have a shot or a good chance at a mom and a dad, then maybe a fluffy single mom in Tennessee would be a better option. Started praying about it, and through just a series of miracles, first of all, I lost 2 adoption attempts that were just heart-wrenching.
Is that rather common in the adoption process?
Very common.
Yeah, you hear that.
Very common. And then a friend called me, and she said, but I just got home from Haiti, and while I was in Haiti, one of the young moms in the village I was visiting died of AIDS, undiagnosed AIDS. And she left behind a 2.5-year-old who has HIV and tuberculosis and cholera and a host of other issues. And the doctors are saying this baby won't live. She was 2 years old at the time, for 2 months. If somebody, really anybody, doesn't stand in the gap for her. And she said, while we were in the hospital, God just put your name in my heart. And she said, would you be willing to pray about this? And I said, nope. I said, I've been praying about this for 30 years. Sign me up. And then I got off the phone and said a word that wasn't in the Bible. Because I thought, goodness gracious, I don't know how to do this.
Yeah.
And then 6 weeks later, I was in Haiti, and they put her in my arms. And it took 2 years from that moment for me to actually get to bring her home to Nashville. And it was really hard and really beautiful. And she is now 10 years old and healthy as a horse. And other than Jesus, she is the most amazing thing in my life.
I mean, she is, and I've met her a few times in person, but even just like following you on Instagram, right? I'm like, just seeing her, whether it's in person or just via my phone, like the joy that this little girl has, Lisa, it is unbelievable. And so
she is really joyful.
And so, I mean, is that just her? Like, how is she now? I mean, it's just like,
she
radiates.
She had a spark when I first met her, but she was more wary than joyful because she didn't have a whole lot to be joyful for. And it's been the coolest thing to get to watch her unfold. God wired her to be joyful, and she's, very effervescent, and she's become more and more so the safer and the more love she's received.
Yes, so good. Oh my gosh. Okay, so talk to me about like the international adoption process. Like, how was that for you?
And I wasn't, a lot of people go, oh, you must have prayed about Haiti. And I'm like, no, I just was like, Lord, direct my steps. I'm not that smart, so you're gonna have to make it real clear. From my experience, and I have a ton of friends in the adoption community, there's a few more wrinkles involved just with, the visas, and it's a little more expensive going back and forth.
Yeah.
So they're different. They're apples and oranges, but I feel like God makes it clear whatever you're called to.
Absolutely. So good. So kind of off that point, it can be a somewhat of a trend of adoption.
Yeah.
Like there was kind of this like flood, I feel like the past few years of people
kind
doing
of People
it more.
Magazine, Star Treks,
Yeah, right. So my question to you is, what encouragement would you give someone to make, like kind of checking themselves? Okay, this is a true calling, conviction on your life that's been put on you, versus just thinking, oh, this sounds fun. This is great. Okay, I'm going to go for it.
Right. I recently had a friend who called me, and she was fussing because she goes, so-and-so saw your story, and now she's praying about adoption, and I just think she's doing it because it's trendy. And I just started laughing, and I said, you know what? God will purify her heart in the process. If he's called her to that, he'll keep opening the doors. So do you think you have to be prayerful about it and recognize, I'm not doing this because this is something Brad and Angelina did. God has called me to this. Seek counsel. And then if he calls you to it, I was in way, way over my head. It was so far above my capacity and my pay grade. And God has filled in every single gap. So if he's called you to it, he'll make a way. I would just say in that process of praying about it, make sure you have counsel around you.
So good. So if someone is at the point, they're like, okay, we're ready to take those steps and adopt. What advice do you have just in general for adoption?
Yeah, it's messy. It's just like life. And then your heart's involved. So you're like, goodness gracious, not only is this messy, I feel like my heart has been ripped out of my chest. It is a heart-wrenching process, but we're called to it as Christ followers. We're called to take care of the widows and orphans. So if he's called you to it, it's so worth the mess. Just don't think it's going to be neat and tidy. You can't wrap an acrostic around it.
It's just so good, because I feel like sometimes you can get this picture, you see someone, you're like, oh, look, it's adoption, and it looks so great. But there are the hard times, right? And even you just saying that, like, I hadn't even thought of that. But I'm like, when you have that child in another country, you have no control.
I think you just know going into it, God is big enough for this.
So good.
I'm not, so I'm going to continually stay desperate to Jesus. And because he's a redeemer and a life giver, there's going to be redemption in this story.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's hope.
There's always hope.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
There's always hope.
So you touched on this a little bit at the beginning, but I do want to circle back. So for women out there who are single and they're starting to feel this pull, like you were talking about, like how was that in general? Just adopting it, like how were people in your life? Were you encouraged? Like what did that look like as a single woman?
It was, Rachel, I can say it can be real polarizing. You have to find a community of faith who goes, we've got your back.
Yes.
But I will say, if it's a single woman who's lonely, don't adopt a child because you're lonely. You got to be real careful about the motives of your heart, because a child isn't going to make you less lonely. Jesus makes you less lonely.
So good. The motive part is so wise, because I'm like, you can plug that into anything, right?
Absolutely.
Don't get married because you're lonely. Don't spend money because you're lonely. All of it. It goes back to that
carbs.
Place.
Eat carbs because you're lonely, which is one of my favorite go-tos.
I love it all. Well, you are just such a shining bright light. Like whatever room you walk into, ever since I've known you, I'm just like,
thank you.
You are just an attractive person, and you're raising, obviously, one of the sweetest little girls in the whole world.
I totally believe in arranged marriage, so
I know, that's right.
now.
I know. Well,
listen, I'd love for her to be a Cruze baby.
They could
but train them up in the way they should go, Rachel.
That's right. I think the pairing could really happen.
Yeah.
Lisa, thanks for coming on.
Thank you for
sharing
having
your
me.
heart in this. It's such a huge topic, and I know we can only just scratch the surface on the show.
I'm so glad you're addressing it. So glad, because it needs to be under this canopy. So I'm so glad y'all are doing that.
Well, thank you. Well, thanks for coming on.
Yeah,
Always
thank you for
good
having
to
me.
see you. Love it.
Thank you.